Give it to me, baby. Woo! What is up, guys? We are in the 2023 Lexus IS500. Oh, this thing has a naturally aspirated 5-liter V8 running 473 horsepower and 395 pound-feet of torque. And I want to give you guys a first drive of this vehicle, the big dog of the IS family. They have their pinnacle V8 with those, oh, you hear that cylinder head designed by Yamaha. You hear how that sounds, and this is what this car is. It is this engine. Oh my goodness. This V8 just all the way to its red line. Oh my God. Oh, wow. So this is the 2023 IS500, and let me tell you, it is a wild ride. What an amazing machine. Really like a ferocious masterpiece of what brings a IS to the next level, in my opinion. This is basically the IS that you're familiar with, the IS350, etc., but they brought in that V8 engine that was in the ISF, the GSF, and in the RCF, and they brought it in here, and it's made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission, full F Sport package in terms of all of the goodies that it's got as well. While this isn't, you know, monikered as an F itself, it does have all the goodies of what an F brings to the Lexus performance brand. And honestly, this engine is the main star of the show, and honestly brings me so much joy to go ahead and just rev it out with you guys on this first drive to give you my impressions of it and of the entire vehicle. So let's talk some figures. Around $78,000 Canadian for this package. It's the top of the line IS, of course, and you're getting a 0 to 60 of 4.4 seconds. So that's pretty good sprint for this. Now, it's not class leading in its sprint, but that is a respectable sprint, 0 to 60 of 4.4. Fuel economy on this engine, again, this is not a fuel efficient engine by any stretch of the imagination. Around 14 liters per 100 kilometers that you're getting with this V8 mated with this automatic transmission. Now, the automatic is an 8-speed. It could be faster. It's not as peppy as I would like, but once you get into that gear and you hear that engine roar, my God, does it sound great. I'm in 3rd gear now, and you just hear it pick up. Oh my goodness. And I'm gonna say this is probably the best sounding Lexus outside of course, the LFA. But did you know that this engine was actually first designed, at least the cylinder heads designed by Yamaha? That was kind of their entrance in working with Lexus. Then they went ahead and created that V10 for the LFA. So I hear a little bit of that in this engine, which I really, really like. And I really think it brings this car to another level. It's this engine that really is the star of the show. But that's not to say that's the entire thing to talk about with this car. Full adaptive suspension on this vehicle, Torsen limited slip differential as well, so you have all that there. And then you have these Enkai wheels, 10 spoke. They look beautiful. I really appreciate that. They actually, you can see this is quite an aggressive looking vehicle. They went ahead and changed the front end. They had to really pull out the front end, make it a little bit bigger to fit this huge engine inside of the chassis, and they just barely did into this thing. And it's just a remarkable drive. I'm telling you guys right now, the notes that you're getting inside of the cabin are awe-inspiring. They're really, really beautiful. I absolutely love it. But that isn't to say that it isn't a comfortable ride either. So the great thing about this is that right now I'm in Sport Plus, you can see, but I can go ahead, shift it down to normal. The suspension's gonna go ahead and adapt with everything else, and it's gonna give me a nice ride, a nice comfortable ride. I've just been driving this honestly for today, and I noticed that right away when I do stiffen up to that sport mode, it definitely stiffens up the suspension, makes everything nice and taut, and then gives me that, you know, fast speed feel that I want, the precision that I get with the steering. I love the steering in this vehicle as well. I think they've done a really good job in making it firm enough, responsive enough, but not going overboard. Then that's the same thing with the suspension. This adaptive suspension is handling all the bumps, and it's just making me feel the road the way I want it. So in terms of all of that, I think they've done a great job. Now, the one thing you will see in this interior it is dated. The interior of this vehicle comes back from the 2012 model year vehicles, right? So it is dated. It has a very old nav display. CarPlay only works with Android Auto, both wired connections, no wireless. Now, the interior, that's just in terms of tech that I'm talking. Outside of that, the materials are not bad. There are some like harder materials around. That's okay, but the leather seats are very supportive. These fully ventilated, heated and cooled seats. Also a heated steering wheel as well that we have here. It does look dated, right? But some of it works. A lot of it's tried and true, and it works. But really, that's not what you're buying this vehicle for. You're buying it for the drive. And I'm telling you, oh my God. Oh God, and the brakes to match that performance, 4-piston Brembo on the front, single caliper in the rear, but it does a great job, very responsive brakes, and it just feels very good going into any turns. I love the steering feel. Oh my God, the power. You just feel that engine, and it's so smooth, such a buttery smooth engine. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Oh. Up to that 7,300 RPM red line. Oh my goodness. It's like a symphony inside of this IS500. And really, I'm glad that they brought this V8 in. Like, obviously, there's probably a very niche buyer looking for a vehicle like this, but let me tell you, it brings so much joy when you're driving this thing around. It's actually ridiculous. Like, you're not going to be focused on really the infotainment. You're not going to be focused on any of that. You're going to be focused on the drive. And this does so well. In terms of visibility, you know, narrow A-pillar. This is good. I like these side mirrors. I think they look really classy and nice. Honestly, I think the seats are really great. I'm in a great kind of aggressive position. You see a bit of the snout in the hood, which is bulged up more in this IS500 to accommodate for that engine. The steering wheel as well, multiple, you know, different toggles and switches on it here. It's an F Sport steering wheel. There's lots of F Sport badges around this vehicle as well to make sure that you know that you're in something special, and you really are. LFA kind of instrument cluster. This was the instrument cluster that I really liked. It also moves around, so you can see here it kind of just moves around like that. While it is physical that it moves around, it's also digital, so that's kind of cool. I like that element. Oh my God. Oh. I can't ever get sick of that. Oh man, and of course you have the paddle shifters here, so I've been kind of paddling as well while I'm in Sport Plus. It's just, honestly, just the sound is what makes this so enjoyable. Obviously, this gushing power, 473 horsepower, 395 pound-feet of torque. It's a lot of power and torque. Now, this isn't the lightest car in the world, but it's not the heaviest in the world as well. 3,891 pounds. You know, my R8, I think, is just about maybe 200 pounds less than that. But this makes significantly more power and torque stock than my 2008 Audi R8 V8. That's 4.2 liter V8, and this is a 5 liter V8. But let me tell you, oh, this V8 from the factory sounds like this with this quad exhaust tip in the rear. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that is such a joy to do that. Now, you do feel the transmission be a little bit slow, right? It's a tad slow to catch up with the engine, but once you get into that gear, the engine picks up and just adrenaline hits this vehicle so quickly. But I do feel quite planted in it. The Torsen limited slip differential, the traction control, of course, helping. This is a rear wheel drive vehicle, but it all comes together. I think they've done a great job packaging this, and I'm a big fan of the exterior styling. Like, I really, really, really love the way this IS500 looks from the outside. I think they've done a great job. Doesn't mean I don't like the inside. I think the inside is styled well, but you can obviously tell this is from like a 2012 model year. I could see this being in a car maybe 5 years, 6, 7 years down the line. I'm a little bit spoiled. In my Lexus NX, they have the full new infotainment system on those vehicles. We don't have that here, but maybe that's something we can expect in future model years. But you know, if Lexus, you guys are watching this and you're wondering, hey, should we continue with these V8s? Please, God, continue these. This is truly an exciting vehicle. I like the engine, the tuning, the acoustics, that work that's gone into this. Just bravo. Honestly, just bravo. Absolutely awesome. And that's what you're buying this car for. Like, who's buying this vehicle, right? Somebody that's looking for that V8 power in a sports sedan, 4-seater, you know, 5-seater, 4-door. That's who's looking for this, right? And at 78,000 Canadian dollars, there are other competitors in the market that you have to, you know, go up against. The M340i is another one. It's got less power, of course, a lot less power, but arguably some people will say it drives better, etc. You know what? I'd have to actually see that for myself. That's what the magazines are saying, and, you know, the mainstream. But quite honestly, like, I'm really, really impressed by not only the engine, but the suspension. The variable suspension is doing a really good job. And you notice it when I go to normal mode, eco mode, and I go to the sport mode, and I just come in. The steering wheel is nice and progressive, and you put that power down. Oh my God. It's impossible for you to ever get 14 liters per 100 kilometers on this, because you're never going to be driving this thing like grandma. There's no way. Like, I have too much, my face is stuck on permanent smile mode. And look, even just on these bends, it honestly, oh man, it does so well handling them all. Oh, you gorgeous thing. It's the little things about the sound. And you know what? For a portion of this ride, I hope I can just shut up about it. And I hope this GoPro can just capture the nuance of the intake sound, the cylinders, the exhaust, all coming together. It sounds like a symphony. And honestly, it feels like to me, and I personally think the Lexus LFA is the sexiest, nicest sounding engine ever made. If you agree, let me know in the comment box down below. Let me know. I get hints of that engine note and sound from this vehicle. And I know the V10 sounds more F1 exotic, where this has more of a typical V8 rumble. But when you're going up into the RPM band around, like, let's say 3,000-4,000, you hear some of the beginnings of that. I'm gonna shut up and maybe you can listen just to a little bit and hear what I'm talking about. Okay, you're probably saying, Sonduren, but I just want a cruiser as well, and this can cruise, so now I'm in eco mode. Now you can be chilling like a villain. It's very comfortable in here. The seats are comfortable. I love that. Steering wheel is nice and padded and thick. Multiple adjustments on these seats as well, so fully adjustable seats with lumbar support, heated and ventilated seats with the steering wheel. You know, the only pick that I will have on this vehicle is that I wish the infotainment system was newer. That's it. For a grand touring kind of vehicle or a touring kind of vehicle, I wish this was newer. This is touchscreen. Okay, it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but you have to wire it. But interesting thing, it's just regular USB. There's no USB-C here, so I don't even know if I have a cable for that. So I just need to go ahead and check that out, see if I have a cable for that. But that just seems like a kind of annoyance, especially in 2023 right now. But other than that, it's really good. Kind of the rear, you have a little bit of seating there. I'll talk a little bit about that more in a future video, but this absolutely can be a touring vehicle. I could go hundreds of kilometers in this thing, and the seats are nice and supportive, yet comfy. You're not just getting performance, you're getting luxury, you're getting reliability, you're getting all of that together in one package. And that's what I think they do best across their entire lineup. And this F Sport gives you that, you know, not only that flair of sportiness, but also that big engine in this IS500 just really put the cherry and the banana on top of that ice cream. This is a great vehicle to kind of just chill and cruise in. So funny enough, I was actually just cruising and I realized there is some accessory that you could just plug in into this USB port to enable Android Auto and Apple CarPlay wirelessly. So for $90, you can go ahead and fix that problem. And if that problem's fixed, then I have that here. Honestly, my gripe about that is kind of gone now at that point. So while the rest of the interior is still a little bit dated, I'm glad there's an accessory out there that actually fixes that, so I can have my Google Maps up there and just navigate wirelessly when I get in the vehicle. So that's clutch. And in case you're wondering, what has been my fuel economy while I've been having fun here, about 24.4 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, you're probably obviously gonna get a lot better than that. I was just having a little bit of my fun. I'm gonna report in my full review video my actual mileage that I get, being realistic about it, right? Having some fun here and there, but driving economically where I can and see what mileage we do get out of it. You know what? I am kind of hoping I can get better, especially with an 8-speed on a V8. If I go on the highway, I'm seeing if I can bust that 14 liters on average for 100 kilometers, maybe get it down to 11 or something. Let's see. I'm gonna find out in my full review video. So again, you're gonna wanna make sure you subscribe, like this video to find out. Sweetie, how you been liking it in here? She's been loving it. And this V8 just acted like a Harmony and put her to bed. Like, she is passed out sleeping. She loves this thing. This is baby sleep approved. She just gave a big yawn. You love it. You buy this car for the experience. When Lexus is thinking about the experience, they're thinking about power, speed, and sound. And I think the decision to work with Yamaha and the cylinder heads of this, to really work on the acoustics of this, because that's part of the driving experience. That's why you're buying this car. You're buying this car for the driving experience. You're buying it for that V8, that power, the performance, the exhilaration, that feeling that you get. And I can tell you with certainty on this first drive, I know it's just the first day, the sun is going out, you can see in the beautiful horizon in front of me, I have loved every bit of this experience. Like, I have goosebumps when I'm driving this thing around and it's just going out to its red line and you just hear everything around you. It sounds like a symphony in here, and I think they hit it out of the park. I wish more manufacturers worked on sound acoustics like Lexus has done with Yamaha. I want to give a big shout out to the Lexus of Oakville team for supplying this vehicle for us today. They're amazing to work with, and I personally purchased my own 2023 Lexus NX 350h from them, and from the very beginning, from the sales experience all the way to the service experience, it was a step and a class above and what you would expect from Lexus. So if you have any questions or you're maybe looking at a Lexus for yourself, definitely give them a check out. I will list all of their details in the description box down below. So these are my first impressions. I'm obviously going to be doing a full review. I'm going to have this car for a week, and this is really my first day out driving it, and the engine obviously is going to take the cake of any first impression that I do. But if you have any questions, let me know in the comment box down below. Happy to answer them. Make sure you like this video and make sure you subscribe for more videos coming up of this Lexus IS500 and more that are coming up. And hopefully you'll get to see more of that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one.